Hey, what's up iSURFTRIBE? So I'm back here with Tara, and today we're going to do some exercises. She's going to talk about fear and overcoming things like some people have had injuries or they've had feelings where they're going to drown. Somebody actually left a comment in the last video about that they're surfed a lot for 5 years and they had an incident and then they felt like they drowned. Now they're like terrified of surfing. And if you guys watched the video, you remember I hurt my knee really bad and I couldn't surf for like 6-7 months. I was really afraid to like do maneuvers after that. And before that, like many years ago, I got cut by the fin on my surfboard. It cut my calf open. Same thing. I went through about 5-6 months where I was afraid to pull into barrels. I was afraid to like do critical maneuvers. And so that's what we're gonna deal with. So Tara, why don't you take it over? She's on the lapel mic. So we're gonna switch to some really good audio right now.
Hey, so I'm joining you guys today to talk a little bit about some little tips and tools that are really useful when you're dealing with fear, whether it's in or out of the water. So to start, it's important to kind of get really clear about where your fear is coming from, right? So I know in the last video I talked about an injury I had where I wasn't listening to my body. I was getting kind of seasick on the boat after a really good first session in the morning. And instead of kind of recognizing, hey, I'm tired, I went out to surf again, and that was when the board snapped back and hit me in the nose, and I literally still have a crooked nose from that day, and that was a good like 5-6 years ago. So coming back into the water, it was a little bit of a struggle to recognize, you know, my limits, get back into my game, calm my fear down enough so I could feel confident the next times that I was paddling out. So I'm just going to share a bit about how I have moved through my own experience and the way that I work with people who are dealing with fear related to surfing and related to other emotional or trauma situations in their life that with clients that I work with as an empathic life coach. So the first is recognizing really what is the source of your fear. So was it an injury? Was it a situation where you felt like you were maybe getting close to feeling like you were drowning? And was that a situation where it was kind of like a freak accident where just something happened and you sliced your leg with your fin like what happened to Moy? Or was it something like you really were feeling tired like in my case and I kind of betrayed the trust in myself listening to my body and saying, okay, you know, I'm tired, like if I paddle out today something could happen, you know. So recognizing whether it's an issue related to kind of trust in yourself, trust in the ocean, trust even in some kind of higher power to take care of you, or whether it's related to more of just kind of the everyday uncertainties of not knowing kind of what's around the next corner, if the lip is going to hit you and you're going to wipe out hard or something. So there's a few kind of tricks to get in touch with that, and I really love the practices that come through the heart math solution that were developed by scientists. And there's some kind of really simple, quick coherence meditations that you can do to get in touch with the wisdom of your heart to access kind of a deeper understanding of what the true sources of your fear related to surfing are. I won't go into that meditation right now because it'd probably take up the rest of the time in the video, but I encourage people to check out the Heart Math Solution. It's a really good book, and the idea behind that is that you're able to get in a coherent state where your heart system and your brain system are coherent and connected, so you're operating at your best, whether it's something physical or something mental. So I do these like quick little meditation practices before I paddle out, and it's a way to kind of function at your best, at your optimum performance, right? So yeah, once you're kind of clear on whether your fear situation is related to like an uncertainty or a self-trust issue, you can kind of reassess, because right after an injury or something, you're not just going to go back out there and be like charging waves 2 months later or something, or even 6 months to a year, depending on how serious your injury was. But maybe you're going to kind of take it step by step to rebuild your confidence and your trust in yourself. So I have a little prop I'd like to share. That's something that I use a lot in the retreats and in my own coaching work. And you won't maybe get close enough to see the writing, but I'll explain it. The colors are more important. So this is a prop that was kind of passed down to me through a teacher of mine whose name is Mickey Kashtan. She draws a lot from the tradition of nonviolent communication. So in the middle here, we're talking about our comfort zones. So in the middle here is kind of like your easy breezy zone. It's kind of like a no-brainer, your everyday day-to-day life. You go about your day and you don't think about this being out of your comfort zone. So you're feeling really safe and secure every moment. So again, this is something that's subjective and relative, different for everybody, and based on every single day it's different, right? So then if we move out into this orange part, this is what is called the zone of strategic discomfort. So this is when you're just a little bit beyond your comfort zone, kind of recognizing like, all right, I'm maybe a little bit scared here, but this is still something I can handle. And that's where the important means of growth come about when we're talking about moving on from fear. So, and then in this red part here, this is the zone of the impossible. So this is kind of like, all right, I just had an injury, I want to paddle back out, but today it's double overhead, but I really want to give it a go. So that might be, depending on who you are, that's either in your realm of strategic discomfort or your realm of impossible. So that's a really important, honest conversation you need to have with yourself in that moment. All right, is this in my strategic discomfort or is this in my zone of impossible? Because if you jump from your easy breezy center comfort zone all the way to your impossible zone and something goes wrong, you're gonna re-traumatize yourself and build another layer of fear that's even harder to get over than it was potentially in the beginning. So this is like my Bible, and these are important kind of conversations that you can have with yourself to get clear first on the nature of your fear and then how to build back trust and confidence in yourself as you're moving through your surfing experience.
That's interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. And then there's another kind of layer of fear that some of you brought up in your comments, and that's related to more of the fear around feeling intimidated in the water, feeling like you're not a good enough surfer, or you're going to embarrass yourself, or people are going to say you're a kook, get out of the water. These are kind of cultural realities that we deal with in surfing, kind of like, if you're not a good surfer, you shouldn't even be out here. So it's related to our sense of belonging, and even kind of this feeling of we have a right to be in the ocean, or of, we belong here too. So in the work I do around women in surfing and working with different women surfers, this is a conversation that comes up a lot, right? There's a lot about like feeling like you're the only woman out there in a very male-dominated sport and lifestyle, culture and practice that we know as surfing today. But I don't think this is a conversation that's just for women. There are definitely men who have also experienced that kind of like aggressive surf culture is really off-putting to them as well, especially if you don't necessarily live next to the ocean and you're not able to surf every single day like some people are, right? So I think we're talking to the majority of people who may or may not have experienced a sensation of feeling intimidated in one way or another when you're paddling out. And that could be because it's a bigger day than you're used to. So these types of fear that are kind of like the backstory inside your mind, that has kind of brings up a whole other thing about how we want to deal with those sources of fear. And that's related to kind of your story of yourself in relationship to your surfing life. And those kind of stories, it's important to get clear on where those narratives kind of came into your mind, right? Is it something cultural? Is it because as a woman you only see photos of men surfing in magazines, or you see like a hyper-sexualized representation of a woman in a bikini on the beach, and that's how women are represented in surf media, so you don't feel like you belong in the ocean. So these are kind of like deep-seated understandings that kind of nurture and push at these little stories in our mind that keep us feeling intimidated or not necessarily good enough to be out there surfing. And then for everybody, that could just be the feeling that everyone else is a pro and you're not, so you don't belong there. And then you hear the stories of like the mean, grumpy locals at your favorite spot, like yelling at you and saying, get out, you're a kook, I think the important thing to recognize there is that we all have a place in the ocean, and the ways that modern surfing culture has kind of appropriated some more ancestral or traditional forms of surfing life. It's kind of transformed surfing into this like macho, dominant, I'm the best surfer out there, or I get the most waves, therefore I'm the one who makes the rules out here, So recognizing those sorts of stories and how they've informed us, first becoming aware of that, and then starting to retrain our minds to write a different story and to see ourselves living that different story. So for women, it could be something like, I belong in the ocean, right? There can be a mantra. You can check out kind of some of the more underground women's surfing media, like See Together magazine, See Maven magazine, These magazines that are really featuring and representing women surfing in a way that feels really inclusive, and it makes us know that we're out there. Like, other women are out there surfing, we're out there either longboarding, we're out there charging on shortboards. There's an entire big wave women's tour, you know, where women are just dropping into these huge waves, right? So women definitely have a place in the ocean, and if we can see that and make that more real, that helps change our story, right? And then for everybody, it can be something as simple as recognizing that surfing doesn't necessarily need to be this like dog-eat-dog world. There can be really kind of beautiful friendships formed in the water, and that helps kind of rewrite those stories around you don't belong here, you're not good enough, etc. So once we can kind of think about those things, then we can learn to embody them in the everyday ways that we behave in the water with each other.
That's yeah, that's awesome. You know, I was reading a book, I can't remember the name of it, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and somebody that I really like to follow, which I can't remember her name right now, she does hypnotherapy. And she says the two most important things are the stories you tell yourself, the self-talk, and then the pictures that you form in your head. And we do this all day, every day, and she basically just says it's really important to work on controlling that. How you talk to yourself constantly, you know, don't tell yourself that you suck, or, you know, don't be negative, be positive, say positive things, and then try to get in the practice of putting these pictures, like you said, visualization, into your head. Just, it's really simple. Those two things can really change everything. So
Definitely.
that sounds a lot like that. So that is awesome. Thank you very much. I think this is going to really help out. So guys, if you want to learn more about Tara and what she's doing, you can go to tarantulasurf.com, and I think we'll do another video to talk a little bit about you're really into like environment and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I work a lot around sustainable surf tourism and sustainability in the surfing world.
And you're working on a really cool project. So guys, what we'll do is probably in a couple videos I'll have her back and tell you a little bit about what she's doing, and along those. I'll let her do the talking, but you cool to come back for another video?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks.
I'm getting used to this.
Yeah, you're good, you're great. I mean, that was great. That was awesome. So yeah, remember, if you want to check her out, tarantulasurf.com. I'll also put her Instagram in the description so you can check it out. And well guys, we'll see you in the next video. As you can see, I'm knocking these videos out left and right. I got Andy the Shaper, I got Jesus, and a bunch of other people surfing, and I'm doing, you know, a whole bunch of other things. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also follow us on Instagram, because sometimes I say stuff there that I don't say here, and vice versa. So make sure you follow all the things in the description. The description is a beautiful place. Until the next video, as I always say, pura vida and aloha. Do you have any outros that you use?
No.
Not yet? We'll have to develop her an outro. You guys, if you guys got any ideas on outros, put those ideas in the comments.
Ooh,
all right
okay.
guys, we'll see you in the next video.